Well, now we're heading into the back of the van. This is the rear of the van. This area down here would be the garage, and then above that is the bed. And over on this side, I actually bumped in this wall so that I could put a larger bed in the back of the van. By doing this, I added 8 inches to the length of a mattress that you could put in the back of the van. But this material is that polyethylene I was talking about. It's glued to the side of the van, and it actually is a little cushiony. So if you're, if you hit this with your hand while you're sleeping, it's pretty comfortable. Before I finish this off or put the wall in permanently, I'm going to put a layer of that same marine vinyl on the surface of that foam to finish it off and give it a really nice professional look. So the back wall, this is the garage wall, uses the exact same system as the ceiling and the wall panels, except it's a thicker plywood. I'm using 1/2 inch pre-finished Baltic birch plywood because it's really strong, doesn't warp, and it helps with all the mechanical strength that I need for the features that are in the back of the van. The panel itself is bolted to the wall with riv nuts and about a 6 bolts, so it's really going to be really sturdy. Features that require that strength. These are mounts for the bed rails. These are mounts for the wheel well cover. And I wanted to talk about mitigating sound in the floor. These are the wheel wells, and without some kind of sound dampening, when a rock gets kicked up from your tire and hits this thing, it's incredibly loud. When I drove this back from the dealer without any kind of sound deadening on this, it was shocking how loud it can be when a rock hits this metal. So now I've got a significant amount of sound dampening material on here, Noodle mat, and the amount of vibration is just great. I love this. It's just terrific. And so, in addition to the sound deadening in the floor, also want to point out that I made the floor out of pink foam for insulation. So it's a really thin floor, but it's does a really good job of doing sound reduction and thermal reduction, transfer, the way I built the floor. And I have a whole video on how I constructed the floor. I'm going to bring over one of the details in the back of the van is behind this grill is a one-way vent, so that air coming from the cab can go through the van and go out the vent on either side of the van. So you don't want to cover those up, but they're also a potential noise and thermal problem. So behind this grill, I've glued the same tweed fabric to prevent convection transfer of energy, because of convection cooling, from getting through this. You could pressure and push air through, but without a pressure differential, the circulation of air inside the wall can't actually impact the inside of the van. Also, it adds a little bit of sound protection so that noise inside the wall doesn't get through into the van through that fabric as well. So that's a detail of this wall that should not be neglected. Now I'm going to bring over the wheel well cover. So on the back of the wheel well cover, same kind of thick plywood and the same reflective insulation got installed. Before I put this part of the insulation in, I put an ample amount of butyl mat on the surface of that plywood so that noise generated by the pump would get absorbed. And so this is the water pump for the shower. The shower is right here, and by mounting it here with that butyl, and we're hoping to mitigate some of the noise from this pump. It's also mounted on little rubber standoffs, but I'm hoping that the butyl tape and the sound insulation from the reflective foam mitigates some of the noise for this. Okay, I think that pretty much concludes my discussion of the insulation for the van. One thing I didn't mention was on the shower exhaust fan. After I mounted it, I surrounded it with butyl mat to try to keep even more sound from getting transferred into the wall of the van. And so up behind that wall is a larger amount of butyl material surrounding that fan enclosure. Okay, so I hope this video has been really useful and gives you some ideas for implementing your own van with better sound and thermal insulation. I encourage you to watch some of my other videos on different aspects of my van build, and thank you for watching.